Hello, my friends. It is so good to have you here today. I want you to do something for me. Close your eyes for just a moment. Think about the word Christmas. What do you see? Maybe you see lights, red, green, and gold. Maybe you smell something warm, cinnamon perhaps, or something sweet baking in the oven. Maybe you hear a song you have known since you were small. Christmas lives inside us in a way that very few things do. It does not feel like just a day on the calendar. It feels like a feeling, a warmth, a memory. But here is something interesting. Have you ever stopped and asked, where did all of this come from? The tree in the living room, the old man in the red coat, the gifts, the carols, the lights everywhere you look. None of these things appeared from nowhere. Every single one has a story, an origin, a moment in history when someone somewhere started a custom that millions of people would one day follow. Tonight we are going to travel back through time. We will visit ancient forests in the cold north of Europe. We will walk the streets of Rome. We will sit beside Charles Dickens as he writes by candlelight. And we will follow one simple thread through it all: the human need for light in the dark. This is the story of Christmas, and it is much older, much stranger, and much more beautiful than you might think. Are you ready? Then let us begin. To understand Christmas, we must go back. Far back, before churches, before carols, before any gifts wrapped in paper. We must go back to a time when winter was frightening. Imagine you are living in Northern Europe, perhaps 2,000 years ago. There are no electric lights. There is no heating in your home. There are no supermarkets to buy food when the fields are frozen. And the sun is disappearing. Every day it rises a little later. It sets a little earlier. The days grow shorter and shorter. The nights grow longer and colder and darker. For the people of the ancient North, this was not just uncomfortable. It was terrifying. They did not know, as we know today, that the earth moves around the sun in a fixed pattern. They did not know that the light would always return. They were afraid it might not. But then, around the 21st of December, something happened. The winter solstice, the shortest day of the year, arrived. And after that day, the sun began to come back. Just a little at first, but it was there. This moment was everything to the ancient people of the North. It was the turning point. Life over death, hope over fear. And so they celebrated. They called their great winter festival Yule. For 12 days, they feasted. They lit enormous fires, fires that burned through the night to call the sun back. They brought green branches inside their homes, pine, holly, ivy. In the middle of all that cold and white and death, they surrounded themselves with green, a sign of life, a promise that spring would return. They hung those branches above the door. They placed them on the table, and they believed with all their hearts that the green plants had power to protect them, power to keep the darkness away. Sound familiar? Because those green branches are still with us today. We call them Christmas decorations, but their roots go all the way back to a world that was very afraid of the dark. Now we travel south, away from the frozen forests, into the warm, dry lands of the Middle East. Around 2,000 years ago, in a small town called Bethlehem, a young woman named Mary gave birth to a son. She and her husband Joseph had been traveling and found no room to stay. They rested in a stable, surrounded by animals far from home. That child was named Jesus. For Christians around the world, this birth is the most important event in all of history. The Nativity, the story of that night, is the heart of Christmas. Angels sang. Shepherds came running from the hills. 3 wise men followed a bright star across the desert, carrying gifts of gold and rich, sweet-smelling spices. It was a night of great simplicity and great wonder at the same time. But here is something that surprises many people. The Bible does not tell us the date of this birth. December 25th is never mentioned. For the first Christians, the date did not matter very much. What mattered was the meaning. So how did December 25th become Christmas Day? The answer takes us to Rome. The Roman Empire, at its greatest moment, was the most powerful force in the world. And in Rome, December was already a month of celebration. The Romans held a great festival called Saturnalia, days of feasting, music, and gift-giving. They also celebrated the birthday of the sun, Sol Invictus, on the 25th of December. It was the moment when the sun, after the winter solstice, began to grow stronger again. As Christianity spread through the empire, the church made a thoughtful decision. Instead of fighting these old winter celebrations, they gave them new meaning. The birthday of the sun became the birthday of the Son of God. One ancient writer put it simply, "The light of the world was born when the light of the sky also began to grow." And so, on December 25th, 2 great rivers of tradition joined together, and Christmas was born. Centuries passed. Christianity spread to every corner of Europe. Christmas grew and changed as it moved from country to country, from village to village. In the Middle Ages, Christmas was 2 things at once. Inside the church, it was quiet and holy, candles, prayers, and beautiful music rising into cold stone air. Outside, in the streets, it was something else entirely. It was a party, a long, loud, sometimes very wild party. People danced in the streets. They wore costumes. They sang songs, not the gentle carols we know today, but noisy, funny songs about food and drink and mischief. The poor would knock on the doors of the rich and ask for gifts. If they were refused, they might play tricks. Sometimes a poor man was crowned the lord of misrule, a king for one day who could give orders to the rich. For 12 days, the normal rules of the world were put aside. But not everyone was happy about this. In the 1600s, a group of very strict Christians called the Puritans looked at Christmas and did not like what they saw. Too much eating, too much drinking, too much noise. They believed Christmas had nothing to do with God and everything to do with sin. In England, they did something extraordinary. They banned Christmas. In 1647, it became illegal to celebrate. Shops had to stay open. Churches had to stay closed. Soldiers walked the streets looking for any sign of celebration, a decorated door, a special meal, a carol sung too loudly. But you cannot ban a feeling. Behind closed doors, families lit their candles quietly. They whispered their songs. They held on to hope. When the king returned to power in 1660, Christmas came back with him, louder and brighter than ever before, as if it had been saving up all its joy for 13 long years. By the early 1800s, Christmas was in trouble again. Not banned this time, just forgotten. The Industrial Revolution had changed everything. Millions of people had moved from small villages into big gray cities. They worked long hours in factories. Children worked too. Families were tired, poor, and separated. The old village traditions, the songs, the fires, the 12 days of feasting, had been left behind in the countryside. Christmas was becoming just another working day. And then, in 1843, a young writer named Charles Dickens sat down and wrote a story. It was a short book, but it changed everything. A Christmas Carol told the story of Ebenezer Scrooge, a cold, selfish old man who hated Christmas, hated generosity, and hated joy. But on one cold Christmas Eve, three spirits visited him. They showed him his past, his present, and his possible future. And Scrooge's heart was transformed. When he woke up on Christmas morning, he was a different man. He bought the biggest goose in the shop. He sent gifts to his poor clerk's family. He laughed in the street. He said to himself those famous words, "I will honor Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all the year." People read this story and wept. Then they smiled. Then they looked at their own lives and asked, "What kind of person do I want to be?" Dickens reminded the world that Christmas was not about the church, and it was not about the party. It was about people, about kindness, about seeing the suffering of others and choosing to help. This new, gentler Christmas spread quickly. Families began to celebrate again, but in a new way, quieter, warmer, more focused on home, on children, on giving. Around the same time, Queen Victoria and her German husband, Prince Albert, were photographed beside a beautiful decorated tree. The image was printed in newspapers and seen by millions. Within just a few years, the Christmas tree, a very old German tradition, had spread to homes all across Britain and beyond. Christmas had a new face, and the world loved it. Now we come to perhaps the most beloved figure in the whole Christmas story, the man with the white beard, the red coat, the deep, rolling laugh. Ho, ho, ho. Santa Claus is everywhere at Christmas, but who is he really? Where did he come from? His story begins not at the North Pole, but in a warm country on the coast of what is now Turkey. Nearly 1,700 years ago, there lived a bishop named Nicholas. He was known for one thing above all others, his secret generosity. There is a famous story about a poor man with 3 daughters. The man had no money to help his daughters marry. Nicholas heard about this family, and in the middle of the night, he came to their window and threw in a bag of gold. Then he disappeared into the darkness before anyone could thank him. He gave not to be praised. He gave simply because someone was suffering and he had the power to help. Nicholas became a saint, Saint Nicholas. Children loved him. He became the patron saint of children, of sailors, of the poor. Every year on December 6th, his feast day, children in Europe would leave their shoes by the door and find them filled with sweets and small gifts in the morning. Over the centuries, St. Nicholas traveled north. In the Netherlands, he became Sinterklaas, a tall, dignified figure who arrived by ship every November and rode across rooftops on a white horse. When Dutch settlers came to America, they brought Sinterklaas with them. In English, that name became Santa Claus. And then America made him its own. In 1823, a poem called A Visit from St. Nicholas gave us a Santa who flew through the sky on a sleigh pulled by 8 reindeer: Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, and Blitzen. He came down the chimney. He filled the stockings. He had a round belly and a wonderful laugh. Later, artists and advertisers added the red coat, the white beard, and the workshop at the North Pole. By the 20th century, Santa Claus had become the most recognized figure in the world. But at his heart, he is still Nicholas, still giving in secret, still thinking of the children, still asking nothing in return. Today, Christmas is celebrated in more countries and more ways than ever before. In Australia, it falls in the middle of summer. People celebrate on the beach with barbecues and cold drinks. In Japan, Christmas is not a national holiday, but it has become a day for couples, for romantic dinners, and for KFC. Yes, Kentucky Fried Chicken has become a beloved Christmas meal there. thanks to a clever advertisement from the 1970s that somehow became a tradition. In Ethiopia and Armenia, Christmas is celebrated in January. In many Latin American countries, the most important night is Christmas Eve, Noche Buena, celebrated with music, family, and a feast that lasts until midnight. Every culture has taken this season and made it its own. And yet, something common runs through all of it. The lights. There are always lights. In every country, at every celebration, people hang lights in the darkness of winter. Candles in windows, stars above doors, lanterns in the street. The same impulse that moved ancient people to light great fires on the longest night of the year is still alive in all of us. The giving. There are always gifts, always something given with love, a meal prepared for a friend, a small package left on a doorstep, a card written by hand. That spirit of Nicholas, giving in secret, is still in every gift we wrap. And the gathering. Wherever Christmas is celebrated, people come together. Families travel long distances. Old friends call. Tables are set for more people than usual. Because even in our busy, modern digital world, we still feel the ancient need to be together when the days are short and the nights are long. That need has never left us. So, my friends, what have we learned today? We learned that Christmas was not invented on one day or in one place. It grew slowly over thousands of years from many different cultures and beliefs. It survived bans and wars and revolutions. It was shaped by ancient farmers, Roman emperors, medieval peasants, Victorian poets, American artists, and a Turkish bishop who threw gold through a window in the middle of the night. It is a patchwork, a mosaic, 1,000 different threads woven into one beautiful cloth. But through all of it, one thing has never changed. Every December, in every age, in every part of the world, people look for light. They gather together. They give what they can. They try, for a little while, to be kinder than they usually are. Maybe that is the real meaning of Christmas, not the tree or the gifts or even the carols, but that moment, every year, when something in us says, slow down. Look at the people around you. Tell them you love them. Be a little more like Nicholas. Give without wanting anything back. If you feel that, wherever you are tonight, then you are part of this story. You always have been. Merry Christmas, my friends. Thank you so much for listening. If this story touched your heart, please give it a like and leave a comment below. I would love to know what Christmas means to you. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss a new story, and share this one with someone who needs a little warmth today. Until next time, keep listening, keep learning, and keep finding the light.